While the Western world was distracted by vibrating phone screens, political theater, and the artificial smashes in the paper-silver price, a vacuum was turned on in the East. A vacuum so powerful, so systematic, and so relentless that it is currently rewriting the rules of global power. In the last 48 hours, while the COMEX ticker in New York showed a bearish trend, over 800 metric tons of physical silver were quietly offloaded from Western ships and secured into the high security vaults of the Shanghai Gold Exchange. This isn't a trade, it's an exfiltration. The mainstream media calls it a market correction. Wall Street calls it speculative volatility. But in Moscow and Beijing, they have a different name for it, the strategic rupture. China and Russia have officially stopped playing the West's game. They have realized that the US dollar's last remaining shield isn't gold, it's the industrial and military lifeblood known as silver. And they are currently kidnapping the world's entire physical supply. You were told silver is a precious metal. You were told it's an investment. You were lied, too. Silver is the ultimate financial nuclear weapon, and the East has just put its finger on the button. The Shanghai Squeeze has begun, and by the time the West realizes the vaults are empty, it will be too late to buy back the future. To understand how China is winning this war, you have to understand the Arbitrage Trap. It is a move so brilliant in its simplicity that it has left Western bankers paralyzed. For decades, the price of silver has been discovered in London, LBMA, and New York, COMEX. But there is a catch. These markets trade in paper. For every 1 ounce of real physical silver sitting in a vault, there are over 100 paper contracts promising that same ounce to different people. It is a massive leveraged illusion. China saw the weakness in this illusion. In 2024 and early 2025, a massive price gap emerged. While the paper price in New York was being suppressed by massive algorithm selling, the physical price on the Shanghai Gold Exchange, SGE, began to decouple. China started paying a 10%, 15%, and sometimes 20% premium over the Western price. Imagine you have a store selling iPhones for $1,000, but only as a promise to deliver later. Next door, another store is offering $1,100 in cold, hard cash to anyone who brings them a physical iPhone right now. Where does the inventory go? It flows to the cash. China is effectively using the West's own price suppression against them. By keeping the paper price low, Western banks are making it cheaper for China to drain their physical vaults. Every time a bullion bank in New York smashes the price to trigger stop losses, the Shanghai vacuum sucks up the resulting physical liquidation. This isn't just a market anomaly. This is a controlled demolition of Western reserves. The East is buying the real metal with discounted paper dollars, effectively trading a dying currency for a strategic asset that cannot be printed. The Russian pivot, silver as a state secret. While China handles the market manipulation, Russia is handling the hard asset pivot. But in late 2024, a directive came out of the Kremlin that sent shockwaves through the intelligence community. Russia's Ministry of Finance, for the first time in the post-Soviet era, announced that silver would be included in the state fund of precious metals, Gokran. Why now? Why silver? Vladimir Putin and his economic advisors, led by Sergei Glaziev, understand something that Western economists refuse to acknowledge. You cannot fight a modern war without silver. From the caliber cruise missiles to the GLONASS satellite arrays to the electronic warfare, suites that are currently neutralizing Western tech on the battlefield, silver is the common denominator. Russia has watched the West thrift their silver usage to save costs, while Russia is doing the opposite. They are hoarding. By designating silver as a state strategic reserve, Russia has effectively removed its domestic production from the global market. Russia is one of the top silver producers in the world, but that silver is no longer coming to London. It is staying inside the BRICS fortress. When you combine China's aggressive buying with Russia's total export halt, you create a supply pincer that is crushing the COMEX. The East is building a metal curtain, and the West is on the outside looking in. The BRICS currency and the silver standard rumor. The ultimate goal of the Shanghai Squeeze is the death of the petrodollar. For 50 years, the world was forced to buy oil with dollars. But that era is ending. The BRICS nations, now including heavyweights like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Egypt, are developing a new settlement unit. While the world speculates about a gold-backed currency, the real secret might be a commodity basket currency, where silver plays a central role. Why silver? Because silver is useful in a way gold isn't. Gold is the king of wealth, but silver is the king of industry. By backing a digital settlement unit with a basket of physical metals held in Shanghai and Moscow, the BRICS are creating a currency that has intrinsics, industrial value. If you hold the new BRICS unit, you don't just hold a promise, you hold a claim on the metals required to build the 21st century. This creates a terrifying scenario for the US Federal Reserve. If the East moves to a physical backed system while the West stays on a paper debt system, the value gap will become an abyss. The Shanghai Squeeze is the preparation for this decoupling. They are filling their vaults before they blow the whistle on the Western paper fraud, the death of the London Fix. For over a century, the global price of silver has been dictated by a group of men in a room in London, the London Fix. It was a system built on the assumption that the West would always control the flow of physical metal, but that assumption just died. While the Western LBMA vaults report total ounces, they rarely distinguish between what is allocated and what is unallocated. In plain English, they are counting the same bar of silver multiple times for different owners. It's a game of musical chairs played with 1,000-ounce bars. China has stopped playing. The Shanghai Gold Exchange, SGE, is a physical-only exchange. You cannot trade a contract there unless the metal is physically present in the vault. By creating a price premium, in Shanghai, China is forcing every silver producer in the world to make a choice. Do you sell your silver to London for a paper promise at $30, or do you ship it to Shanghai for $35 in immediate cash? The choice is a no-brainer. The silver drain is moving at a rate of 1.5 million ounces per day. This isn't just a market shift, it is the unplugging of the Western financial life support machine. Once the LBMA vaults hit registered zero, the London Fix will collapse and the price will be set in the East. When that happens, the West loses its ability to subsidize its electronics and defense industries. The squeeze isn't coming. It's already happening behind the closed doors of customs offices and shipping ports. The military-industrial drain, the ultimate defense secret. There's a reason why Russia has classified its silver reserves as a state secret. You can build a house without silver. You can even build a basic car without it. But you cannot build a hypersonic missile without it. Every Tomahawk cruise missile contains 15 pounds of silver. Every Aegis missile defense system relies on silver-coated superconductors to track incoming threats. Silver has the highest electrical and thermal conductivity of any element on the periodic table. In the heat of battle, where microseconds and thermal management mean the difference between a hit and a miss, there is no substitute for silver. China and Russia have realized that the most effective way to disarm the United States military is not to outproduce them in planes or tanks. It is to starve them of the silver needed to make them smart. While the U.S. Department of Defense sold off the bulk of its strategic national stockpile of silver decades ago, China has been building its own strategic metal shield. By draining the COMEX, China is effectively executing a preemptive strike on the U.S. military-industrial complex. When the next conflict starts, the West will find itself with plenty of paper dollars to spend, but zero silver to build the weapons those dollars were supposed to buy. This is the silver bomb that no one in the Pentagon wants to talk about. The 27-year fiat trap and the silver reckoning. History is a circle, and we are currently at the end of a very specific one. Every fiat currency, money backed by nothing but a government's promise, has an average lifespan of 27 years. The US dollar has been fully fiat since 1971. We are now in year 54. We are on borrowed time. Russia and China are students of history. They know that when a superpower's debt exceeds its ability to pay, it always resorts to currency debasement. They print more paper to pay off the old debt. But you cannot print silver. The Shanghai Squeeze is the East's exit strategy from the dollar. They are trading their trillions of US Treasury bonds, which are essentially IOUs from a bankrupt government, for the only thing that has maintained its value for 5,000 years, physical metal. They are emptying the COMEX vaults using the very dollars that the US printed into existence. It is the ultimate irony. The West's own inflation is being used by the East to strip the West of its physical wealth. As the paper price is smashed to protect the dollar, it only makes the silver cheaper for China to haul away. The rupture and the final liquidity event. As we analyzed in our Stage 3 breakdown, we are now entering the final phase, the rupture. A rupture occurs when the paper market and the physical market completely disconnect. We are seeing the signs right now. Backwardation, where silver today costs more than silver next month, is the smoke. The Shanghai Premium, where silver in the East costs more than silver in the West, is the fire. In Stage 4, the force majeure clauses will be triggered. If you hold silver in a bank vault or through a paper ETF like SLV, you will receive a letter. It will tell you that, due to market conditions, they cannot deliver your physical silver. Instead, they will settle your contract in cash at the suppressed paper price. Meanwhile, the real silver, the bars that actually exist, will be sitting in Shanghai, Moscow, and the private vaults of billionaires. The price of that physical silver will not be $30 or $50. It will be whatever the East decides it is. This is the great wealth transfer. It isn't a theory. The shipping manifests and the vault data from February 2025 prove it is a reality. The banks in South Korea didn't stop selling silver because they didn't want the money. They stopped because they don't have the metal. The industrial hostage situation. Now, let's bring it back to the industry. Remember the Samsung silver carbon anode? It's not just Samsung, it's the entire AI revolution. Every AI server, every data center, and every advanced semiconductor requires silver. As the Shanghai Squeeze tightens, China will gain the power to decide which companies get to survive. If a Western company like Apple or Tesla wants silver to build their next generation of products, they will have to go through the Shanghai Gold Exchange. China will effectively be able to tax the entire Western tech industry. They can say, you can have the silver, but you must pay in yuan, or you can have the silver, but you must move your manufacturing to our soil. The Shanghai Squeeze is not just about the price of a coin. It is about the sovereignty of the global supply chain. By controlling the silver, the East controls the on switch for the 21st century economy. Chapter 10, the final warning, securing your position. The window is not just closing, it is being welded shut. While the financial gurus on TV tell you to diversify into tech stocks and bonds, the smartest players on the planet, sovereign nations, are diversifying into the one thing they can't print. This is your final warning. The Shanghai Squeeze is a one-way street. Once that metal leaves the COMEX and the LBMA and arrives in the East, it is never coming back. It will be locked in state reserves and industrial hoards for decades. Do not wait for the paper rupture to realize you are holding a promise instead of a reality. Do not wait for the news to report that the vaults are at zero. By then, the price will be unobtainium. Like the East has made their move. They have called the West's bluff. They have realized that the emperor has no silver. Now, the only question that remains is, when the metal curtain finally falls, which side of it will you be on? Hold the physical. Remove the counterparty risk. Trust the data, not the ticker. The Shanghai Squeeze is the end of the old world and the birth of a new physical reality.